Marc, welcome to the program here. We're all on a bit of a wait mode at the moment. What is your sense about what you've been hearing so far today?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very sad case. Paul Manafort is an incredibly talented political operative who chose to use his talents over the years to become very wealthy and work for some very nefarious people, including some pro-Putin Ukrainian officials. But this has nothing to do with Donald Trump or Russia collusion, I think, as Andy correctly pointed out. The fact is that actually in the summer of 2016, when news broke about illegal payments in the newspapers, actually the reason that Donald Trump fired him was because of his work for Ukraine and the things that he had done that predated his time in the Trump campaign. So Trump actually fired him because of the things that he's been indicted and now convicted of. So it's really hard to turn this around and say that this is now some sort of evidence that Trump was engaged in some nefarious activities with Russia. He should have known better than to hire Paul Manafort. I think it was a big lapse of judgment on Donald Trump's part. He was a client. I worked back in 1989, long before he'd started working with Yanukovych. I worked at Black Manafort, Stone & Kelly. It was one of my first jobs in Washington 30 years ago, so I knew Manafort early on in his career, and Trump was a client back then. He knew Paul Manafort and the kind of work he did. He should have known better than to bring him into his campaign and make him the public face and public spokesman of his presidential effort. And quite frankly, Manafort would not be facing sentencing today if he had not raised his head and tried to make a comeback and become the public face of the Trump campaign.
And that's the case
so
his
it's
attorney.
A sad story all around.
It's the case his attorney made just a moment ago.
Yeah, Kevin Downing was just making the case of this intense media attention that this case has received, noting that but for in his words, short stint as a campaign manager, Paul Manafort would likely not be here today.
Marc, just in the 30 seconds we have left, what is the play for Bill Barr as the Attorney General? He gets the report. Maybe he makes it public, maybe he doesn't, maybe he puts aspects of it out. What is the tug-of-war with DOJ right now in the special counsel, do you believe?
Well, I think that Bill Barr has to follow the law. It really, with the politics of it, should be irrelevant for him. I mean, the Justice Department should be above the law. So, I mean, should be follow the law and be above politics. So if he, I mean, quite frankly, it sounds like unless there is evidence of a criminal conspiracy with Russia, the Mueller report actually might be exculpatory for Donald Trump in a lot of ways. Because remember, what this is all supposed to be about is a question of, did Donald Trump engage in a criminal conspiracy with Vladimir Putin and the Russian government to steal the 2016 election? It seems increasingly likely that the Mueller report is not going to provide that kind of evidence, in which case, in many ways, it's a vindication for Donald Trump. Because that's what this whole thing is about. Now, if Democrats want to turn around and try and impeach him for something other than conspiracy with Russia, it's going to backfire on them in a big way, which is why Nancy Pelosi is trying to tamp down all this impeachment talk, not because she wants to protect Donald Trump, but because she wants to protect Democrats, because she knows that it's going to hurt the Democratic Party if they try to do that.
Thank you, Marc. Stand on by, okay?
Thank you, Marc. We are awaiting the final sentencing for President Trump's